is where it all started for me. I was dropped off here when I was 17 years old with $60 cash. Didn't know what to do, where to go, didn't know anything about this city. It's a lot harder for a smaller town. We don't have a lot of options available to us. Up in Brainerd or Bemidji or Crookston, Wilmer, wherever I was, there weren't a lot of places you could go. My social worker, I guess, she was tired of fighting with me and finally just said, you know what, where do you want to go? We'll take you there. And they had a county driver drive me to the cities. They just dropped me off at a corner. He had $60 in my pocket.
I have worked with other youth where this has happened. In greater Minnesota, as well as the suburbs, we have even less services for homeless youth. There's also a real lack of services for homeless youth on reservations. I think that a lot of counties are similar to the nonprofits that serve homeless youth because they don't have enough funding or resources.
I didn't know where to go that night. I walked to Loring Park and I actually slept in the porta potty out there. I mean, it stunk, but it was warm and I wasn't freezing my butt off. You have to watch your back. I mean, you don't know who's out there. There was another situation where the guy said I could stay with him, but I had to give him sex for rent. I never went that far to sell myself. I wouldn't degrade myself like that.
I was living with my dad and my stepmom. Drugs got involved with my parents. I stopped having a curfew. I started doing what I wanted to do because I could. And consequences happened. I had a kid. I got pregnant at 15 and I had her when I was 16. I made the choice to leave. I made the choice to get in a safe environment. You know, like, I hate to say this, but not one of my family members, not one of them told me, Santana, you and the baby can come stay with me. That kind of made it to where I was homeless and I had nowhere to go.
With my social workers, they were like, Asia, when you get emancipated, when you turn 18, you're gonna leave, you're gonna go to the dorms, life is gonna be great. It didn't turn out that way.
Asia had come into crisis by being a student at the University of Minnesota. She had emancipated from foster care and went to the U of M, and that was her long-term plan.
I didn't have anywhere to go during the summers. I had to stay in the residential apartments because where was I gonna go?
She was getting charged a bill for her summer stay.
So then I was stuck with this huge bill and I didn't know what to do. There was no way that I could pay it.
And so she wasn't able to register then for fall semester because of her outstanding balance of health care and summer housing. And she had nowhere to go.
I always had this plan where I'd just go right from high school to college and get into the dorms. And when she did, I just kind of opened the door for me and I was excited about it. But when I got the letter in the mail saying that I wasn't accepted to the U of M, I didn't know what to do.
Every year, somewhere between 20 to 25,000 kids nationwide age out of foster care. About a quarter of those youth will experience homelessness within the first 2 years of their emancipation from the system.
At 15, I was discharged from Ramsey County Human Services to my mother, who was still in prison at the time.
When I've talked to leaders in the American Indian community, what I hear from them is that their community for many years have borne the brunt of decades and generations of oppression, isolation, and genocide. And the fact that there are unchecked mental health and chemical dependency issues as well that all get wrapped up in that systemic issue.
Yeah, like you see that and you just strive to be better. That's like a really big issue just because I've had friends growing up that are doing that now. I think it drove me in a positive direction because it's someplace you don't ever want to be, I found more positive ways to, cope with homelessness. I had a lot of different mentors throughout my homelessness that helped me out a lot.
I needed to do something. 4 mouths to feed I felt like it was too much for my mom. I didn't stay in the house a lot so that my mom and my sisters could like eat and have the space. As soon as I walked out of the house, I had my bags and everything, and I was on the 5 line, and I was like, whoa, where do I go from here? And it exposed me to a lot of, gangs. And I never joined a gang, thank God, but I was so close. We were just sitting on the bus stop, and these two guys came up to the bus stop, and I glanced to the left, and I saw, a shiny silver piece. There was an actual gun to my chest, like I felt it, and my heart was like, whoa. Like, it was something that I was so close to doing myself that it was normal. I looked at my dad as he was an inspiration. Some of my words are born from his visual art. It's his actual life. This is an actual spot in Chicago that he grew up in. These two pieces directly relate to my life. That's because he was like, he drew these pictures and he's like, don't do this. There was anything I told you not to do, joining the gang was it. And this is why, because it's very hard to shake that off. At the last minute, it was like poetry kind of saved me from that. My curse, the fact of working 10 times hard to prove my worth. I am Black man entangled in the Western society's bold chokehold with the audacity to let a smile spread across my face.